did and went all over.
Oh wow, yeah, that's bad.
I'll have to fix that later, but
Are we getting anything on it now?
no.
There are worse things.
There are worse things.
Destitution, childhood, hunger. I'm trying to think of something to start with the third. Are we on?
Maybe.
Okay, hello everyone. If you're on, we're on.
Did you get a notification?
Not yet. It normally takes a minute though. Looks like we're live.
I think I'll change that to begins soon.
What's that?
We'll change our little thing to begins
Soon.
Whoops.
I've got the English Mass this weekend, don't I?
I think so.
Yeah, good. I haven't preached to the English community in a while, so.
I know. It's Deacon Steve last time.
Mm-hmm. The problem with only having 2 masses in the weekend is that if the deacons take one, you can skip the community, the English community, for like 3 weeks straight. Then you start feeling like, what's that?
It's true.
Mm-hmm.
It's true. Oh, people are welcoming, saying, "Happy birthday,
Aww.
Nick."
Aww. Who's that?
No, she was kidding.
Who said that?
That
Oh, it was Jen.
My birthday, Father Ashmore, not Nick.
Some people, I mean, I still have high school friends who try to call me that. I don't stop it. Father Colin Hagney calls me that, but I think he does it ironically. Some people, I mean,
Alrighty, let's see here. I will let this play because it's your birthday.
Aww. Everybody can know my favorite song. You know the only problem with the Taco Bell? I already had pie for breakfast, so...
Nah, there's always room for Taco Bell.
It's true. Another phrase you weren't expecting to say, right?
It's true.
Ooh, hello, Mr. Coffeebot. Oh, isn't that supposed to turn off once you steal some coffee?
Yes,
They didn't this time.
the great coffee disaster of Cinco de Mayo. We'll be with you in just a second. I'll tell you about our coffee
Little
disaster
coffee
here.
disaster. You guys have seen a little piece of what our life looks like.
Yep.
Pray for.
There's my speaker.
My phone is blowing up this morning.
Good. It's your birthday. Happy birthday to Father Ashmore.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Jen. Aw. Donna. Yes, happy Cinco de Mayo. Happy Cinco de Mayo. Good morning, Dad. Tacos. Happy birthday. Oh, that says to me. Sorry. Thank you. Good morning, Deneen. Good morning, Bill Bolton. Karen. Did you have a breakfast taco for breakfast birthday? So no, I didn't. We got some pie this last weekend, so I had pie for breakfast, and now apparently I'm having Taco Bell for an early lunch. I did not know that Taco Bell was coming.
All right, well, welcome everybody. Let me get this splash screen down. Sorry, we're getting a little started late. I was all ready to go, so I thought. And then we had
A taco disaster?
no, not the taco disaster. It
Oh,
was
I'm sorry, it's a coffee disaster.
the coffee disaster of 2020, Cinco de Mayo 2020 taco disaster.
Yeah.
So our coffee maker has a grinder in it.
Which seems like a great idea.
It does, except for there's a door in there that doesn't always shut all the way, and if that doesn't shut all the way, then there was coffee grounds going all over.
Shakes and, yeah.
So I didn't get it quite clicked, I guess, and so now there was coffee all over the place. So
Right.
well, now I can't. Good lord.
What's funny is that I had my own coffee disaster this morning.
That's right.
And so it's been a coffee disaster day. I got up this morning, rolled out of bed, came down. I went to go make a cup of coffee because you can't pray in the morning without a cup of coffee.
True.
And so I go over to the coffee maker, and we almost never have coffee made. We almost never have the coffee pot prepared the night before. It's happened a couple times, but almost never, and I just wasn't even paying attention. I think Father Kent was trying to be nice to me.
I was trying.
Yeah.
I thought, what can I do nice for Father
Isn't that
Ashmore's
sweet?
birthday?
It's really sweet.
I prepared the coffee last night ahead of time, but he didn't see it, so he poured extra. What do you do? Pour extra.
So I got 8 cups of coffee, half the pot in there, and I pour it into the coffee pot, and all of a sudden there's water everywhere. There's water coming out the bottom. There's water coming down the side. Some of it is brown. Some of it is clear. It's on the cabinet. It's on the countertop. It's a mess. I'm flooding the kitchen. There's so much water. And so I'm trying to clean it all up, half asleep, still trying to figure out what the heck just happened, because I'm thinking, I didn't realize there's water in there, so I'm thinking like maybe the whole thing's like cracked or something, and no, I realized there's coffee in there. And so so then the best part was I needed to get all the extra water out because we only had so much coffee in the coffee basket with the grinder. And so there I am tipping the coffee pot backwards into the kitchen sink so that I could drain the excess water out without dumping out all the coffee.
Here I am trying to be helpful for his birthday, and I've made coffee disaster number 1, followed by coffee disaster number 2. So our kitchen right now is a kind of a mess because there's coffee grounds all over the place, and I didn't have time to clean that up before we started the show, and that's why we're a little bit late. So sorry about that. I cleaned up a little bit because I had to clean it up enough so I could actually brew a cup of coffee.
Right. So our coffee pot is very odd. It's got the grinder installed on top of it, which you would think would be a great idea.
You would think.
It doesn't seem large enough, though.
Right. It's true.
So we're not making even full pots of coffee. Like, if we were making full pots of coffee and it was coming out a little weak, I might be able to forgive it. But we're making like 8 to 10 cups of coffee when we got a 12 to 14 pot. And it comes out weak when we put the grinder to the top. So we've got this. It's very strange. We have to put like coffee grounds in the basket in order to give enough kick, like you're jump starting your car in a certain way. Then you've got to put beans in the grinder. Those will be ground, and if not everything's correct, it will shake the coffee pot and then make it all go all over the place.
Right.
So you got to make sure everything's all tied together, and I'm about done with it.
Well, I did buy another coffee maker when I first moved in because I couldn't figure out this coffee maker. So it's still sitting in the box on top of the refrigerator. So I might open it up and we might go get a grinder or something. But then I also, in the midst of all this, because I poured the water in for the cup of coffee that we're going to ground. So we were supposed to have Kansas City Dark here. I'll take you on the close up.
That'd be my rapper name.
Kansas City Dark.
We
were supposed to have this.
Did you like that or not?
Well, there it is. And then instead we have Folgers 1850, which is quite tasty, I must say. But since it's his special day, it's his birthday, I was going to make up ground coffee. Because ground is always better than pre-ground. Well, usually it's better than pre-ground. But so then I forgot that Then I forgot that I had put water in the basket, the thing. So then I poured more water because I poured 8 things in
I
before.
didn't realize that. I wondered why there was extra water over there. Okay. Wow.
So yes,
It's
the
a
coffee
comedy
does
of
that.
errors this
It is.
morning.
It is.
This reminds me of one of my favorite movies. Now, this is not similar to it at all, but it's just the style of humor with this whole thing. One of my favorite movies is Arsenic and Old Lace.
Oh, it's great. That's a great movie.
It's fantastic.
It is.
It's especially with the euthanasia movement now, it's a little too real at times. But the whole concept of it is there's these 2 old women who I think are sisters who live together, so they're spinsters essentially. And it's a 1950s movie. Cary Grant. That's the whole concept of it. But they're these 2 spinsters who live together, and I think they run a bit of a hotel out of their house, and so men will come and stay there. And some of the men they see are very sad. They don't have anybody in their life. And so what do? They kill the men to take them out of their misery. And then Cary Grant is discovering this, and he's discovering bodies all over the house, and he's freaking out because and he's doing it in the best Cary Grant. It's oh, darlings, Joe, you cannot do that. It's hilarious. So the way they set it up, it's a little too real now with the euthanasia movement.
It is.
But it's one of those things of like, every time you turn around, something more absurd is happening.
It is. It's right.
They have a son who has special needs, I suppose.
I think he thinks he's Teddy Roosevelt,
He
right?
thinks he's Teddy Roosevelt, so he's always charging in and It's really hilarious.
It is.
It is family friendly if you can get over the fact that
that they're killing people.
that they're killing these sad men.
But the way that the 2 old ladies too, they play it off too is like,
Mr. Summers was so sad. Somebody just had to help him. And Cary Grant's there. Oh, Auntie, you can't. It's hilarious. And then there's this whole side point with he wants to go and marry a woman. I don't remember her name, but they're engaged and they're about to elope. I think essentially. And on the day they're about to elope, he finds out his aunts are doing this whole operation. And so she's getting mad at him because he's not wanting to tell her what his aunts are doing, and so she's coming to like the window going, Mortimer, what are you doing? And it's just she gets more and more absurd throughout. It's really a great show.
It is. It's a classic. I put up the picture of the movie there.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So yes, just a basic coffee pot would be better. I think you're right. So I've got the one. We might open that up today, and then maybe go out and get a grinder. But my favorite phrase of rectory living, I say it all the time, and my sister has heard me say this many times, is I say, it came with the house. Someone asks me about, what's this? I don't know, it came with the house. So this coffee maker, it came with the house. So rectory life is kind of strange because we move into a completely furnished house where
one priest could have lived there for 15 years,
right,
and the next priest could live there for 2 years, and you'll find all sorts of remnants of each.
Some priests will say, I'll just leave that for the next guy.
Priests are notorious for leaving things for the next guy.
That's right. Well, not because I do that too. Because I bought a couch. I've purchased 2 couches in my lifetime. I think that's correct, and a futon. But I purchased a couch at the other place because I was trying to build a little kind of rec area, and so I didn't feel a need because there were plenty of couches here. So I said I'll leave it there for Father John. So I don't know if he wanted that couch or not. He got it because I didn't want to take it because it's a fine couch, but I didn't have any place for it in the next spot. So
yeah, it's understandable.
But yeah. So it is Father Ashmore's birthday, in case you missed that in the comments here.
You'll see the tacos or Actually, I should break into those tacos. I'm sure I'm getting a little saucy.
So I got this is the first time I've been to Taco Bell in probably a decade, and I did it for this guy, for the associate.
He didn't tell me either.
I tried to keep it a surprise. So I got 2 different ones I didn't know what to get. So I got the breakfast burritos because you were talking about how much you liked them. I got the standard sausage one and the steak one. So those looked good.
Great.
I think that's what I got. That must be the sausage one.
Okay, you got 4.
Well, I did because I might have one too.
Oh, wow. I was going to say, I'm not that hungry. Here you go, bud.
That was the plan because you've been talking about these things, so I thought maybe I'll try that. Hopefully I don't regret it for the rest of the day.
No, you won't. You won't. I never do.
So anyway, yes, I I also went to the hardware store this morning because I'm trying to take down popcorn ceiling down the stairs.
So
And
I saw somebody comment on that on Facebook asking if I was helping. No.
That's right. And nor do I expect him to. So just to clarify,
It's downstairs, and I generally let Father Kent do things down there for the most part. Not because we're in competition or anything. It's just I haven't really made it my area down there, and so it's a great mess down there. I think right now
it is a great mess, a bigger mess than normal, and it's a nice area down there, and I like that space downstairs. But the other thing is, I will likely be here longer than you will. So I mean,
it's true.
Things weirder things have happened, but generally the pastor is at a place longer than an associate. So,
yeah. Generally, associates are only assigned for upwards of 3 years.
yeah.
Sometimes
right.
you get a 4-year one, but that's
Right.
pretty rare.
Right.
In our diocese. Whereas in other dioceses, where I studied in St. Louis, it's very common for associates to be at a place 3 to 4 years, but then to get another assignment as
Oh, wow.
associates.
Yeah.
Sometimes 3 assignments as associates.
Whoa.
But you're lucky if you can get even 2 or 3 years as
That's right.
associates here in our diocese.
Right.
So
So
we should
yeah.
pray for our bell.
Okay.
In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Bless us, O Lord, in this thy bell, which we are about to receive from thy bounty through Christ our Lord. Amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen. So, and I guess bless your food as well if you are about to receive.
If you all have Taco Bell too.
So yeah. So I don't see him as having the responsibility. I'm settling in a little bit more to this house, and theoretically, in a couple of years, there'll be someone else here.
That's tasty.
Is it good?
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to give it a try. So yeah, I'm kind of taking it on my own, and again, I don't plan to do this a whole lot. Upstairs, there is popcorn ceiling everywhere as well.
This is true. What's interesting is I've got orange peel ceiling in one area and popcorn ceiling in another.
What? Oh,
Orange peel ceiling.
Okay.
It's when it's not popcorn, but it's a texture. I don't know if it's orange peel technically. That's what I've always referred it to. But if somebody has a better name for it, but you know when it's more of a refined texture, it's not. Popcorn ceiling is pointy. This one is flatter.
right. Okay.
Isn't that tasty?
It's not terrible. That's pretty good. It's pretty good. So anyway, so upstairs is a bunch of popcorn as well, and not tasty popcorn. But I'm not going to worry about that because I'm the only one that's ever upstairs, so I'm not going to bother with that. And the popcorn ceiling doesn't bother me so much, but
Doesn't bother me either.
But since I do have guests over, and people have sometimes said they were so offended by my popcorn. Not
Really?
But, not really. But
How dare you? My morals have been hurt by your popcorn ceiling.
your popcorn is offensive to me.
How could you even allow me here?
So anyway, I'm working on just doing that downstairs, but that'll be also enough for probably my lifetime. I don't think I need to do this again.
Yeah.
So,
It's
but
messy.
it is messy. But
It'll be exciting to see what we end up doing with the basement. Father Kent and I were talking about maybe doing something with the flooring to.
yeah, if anyone has any ideas or suggestions or knows somebody that does flooring, I don't know if I'm going to do carpet or tiles or that laminate stuff. I'm open to options. Probably something needs to go with that wood kind of paneling there. That's really nice down there. So something needs to coordinate with that.
Right.
But
I was talking to him. Some of that fake wood is really good these days.
Yeah,
you
right.
can barely tell the difference. I mean, you can if you're looking, but if you're just walking around down in the basement, some of that fake wood looks great.
yeah. So because I'm making such a mess, and I tried to put down tarps to protect the carpet and everything, but it's not carpet worth protecting anyway. I don't know how long it's been there. So I think I might look at then replacing the carpet as well with tile or other carpet or whatever. So, but
It was done for acoustics originally. Really? That's an interesting thought. Popcorn ceiling.
oh really? Huh?
That makes sense.
Uh-huh.
You make it more a rough surface, it can absorb. I mean, it will absorb more.
And so, very good. I saw Carla. I liked her comment. What was that comment? Talk about good weather for your birth. Talk about a beautiful day for your birthday.
There we go.
Cinco de Mayo.
I'm gonna have to go on a nice long run this afternoon.
Well, it's much easier to do that today.
I was considering
Yeah,
running
yesterday.
yesterday, but the weather argued against me.
Yeah, it did. It got better eventually, but it was too late then. I think. So how are you doing? What do you have? What are your what's going on in your life? You can put in the comments all the things you love about Father Ashmore because it's his birthday.
No,
Go ahead and do that.
I feel very awkward.
I know. I'm trying to facilitate that. So and then Father Ashmore, this is your day. So what do you want to talk about? You can talk about anything that you want because it is your day.
I don't know.
See, the balloon even says it. It is your day.
Oh.
These balloons came from the appreciation parade, by the way. So thanks so much to everyone who participated in that. But I thought it doesn't say it's your birthday, but I thought it would be good to put these balloons out to celebrate the birth of our vicar.
I appreciate that. Well, one thing I have to do today is I have to give my mother my traditional birthday call to her.
Your traditional mother?
Yeah, my traditional mother. My traditional birthday call to her, in which I thank her for having birthed me. I always say, "Hi, Mom. Thanks for having birthed me today."
That's good.
I find the use of that term in the past tense to be quite humorous. I don't know why. We never say it, so you have birthed.
You have birthed me.
What else is going on today?
I was wondering about Joe Weber. I thought that he did flooring, but I wasn't positive. So thanks, Debbie. Maybe I'll give him a contact. So
The next off Marshall Drive. Okay.
yes, pretend that I'm meeting from San Antonio. That would use a good deal of imagination. But
I don't understand. I'm hurt.
I don't mean to hurt you on your birthday. It's not terrible. No. But it's not San Antonio's either.
That's
so
probably true.
That's
so
probably
true.
I mean, I don't think you would even say that.
Oh no.
Yeah. Would you rather have a well, I'll ask you. Would you rather have a Taco Bell maybe just depending on the context. Maybe I should just finish my sentence. But would you rather have a Taco Bell taco or a street taco from an authentic Mexican restaurant?
Oh well, certainly a street taco. There's no question. But they're different species of tacos.
Right. Kind of like angels. What is that strange thing in there?
Oh no.
I think it's tater tot or something.
Those delicious things. Those are little pieces of breakfast potatoes, because they are a genius and they know that tastes delicious.
Well, I'll be. What I love about Father Ashmore, my boy is wicked smart.
Is that a movie quote?
True, and also a movie quote.
What movie is that from?
My boy is wicked smart. Sounds like a Bostonian.
So, you know what I'd love to talk about? Maybe favorite movies today.
Okay.
Because we talked about Arsenic and Golden Lace, which is one of my top 5 favorite movies.
Okay, that's up. Yeah, it's very good.
It's family friendly. It's hilarious. I eat up anything with Cary Grant in it. I think he's a fantastic actor. What's one of your favorite, other than Star Wars?
Right.
Because each one of us would put Star Wars up top, but
right. One of our parishioners was commenting how he was watching the last movie, and he said it was awful. And
I almost commented on that because it's not awful. The last movie redeems the whole series. I think the whole last 3 series. So. So Joe, I know who you are.
I wasn't gonna out you there, Joe. But so favorite movies. So, well, I have a series of summer movies that I like to turn on. So my favorite movies generally are the ones that I can watch over and over again. There are some movies that are spectacular, like their first watch. Like, for instance, that Murder on the Orient Express, if you haven't seen that one, the new one, I thought was really great. I don't think I ever need to see it again.
Which one?
The Murder on the Orient Express, the Agatha Christie.
Yeah. I wanted to see that. I never saw it.
It's really good. Again, I don't need to see it again because, well, I know who done it.
Mystery. Yeah.
Right. So it was good. It doesn't necessarily reward repeated watchings or something. But I have several movies that I like to watch in the summertime, and I pretty much watch every summer at least once. So Jurassic Park is one of my all-time favorites. It's a good summer movie. Galaxy Quest is another great summer movie.
I saw you watching at one point this last summer.
Okay. Yes, because again, I will put them in again. And then my other favorite movie for the summertime is A Knight's Tale.
Oh yeah.
Which that's a little bit of a lesser known one. Is A Knight's Tale. It's
I've
loose.
seen it.
Have you? I love it, and it's got one of the best depictions of love I think of that any movie has ever done.
Okay.
About love being sacrificial.
Really?
Uh-huh.
I watched a movie when I was like 12, so I was not as philosophically minded at that point, but
Well,
I remember liking it. But,
Yeah. Well, it's great because it's an anachronistic. Is that the correct term? So it is just totally fun because the opening scene starts off with it's about not gladiators. It's about jousting. There's knights and they're doing these competitions.
Yeah, I remember that.
And the importance of jousting was like the biggest one. That was what people really were attracted to back in the time. And it's loosed very loosely on Canterbury Tales.
Oh, really? Okay.
And Chaucer is actually a character in the movie. And he says to a couple of characters, "You will be in my movie. You will be in my book, and you will be villainized forever," or something like that. But anyway, the movie starts off with they're at a gladiating.
Is that the verb?
Not gladiating. Jousting. A jousting competition.
I didn't know if it was a verb or not.
That's right. It could be, but it's not about that. It's not about this movie.
In Spanish. Yeah.
But they start doing this, and there's the background for "We Will Rock You" is going on, and people are like distributing like turkey legs, get your turkey legs here, and so it's very much, and then people like dance and like they would be in like at a modern football game or something. So
Weird.
it is weird. It's just kind of this crazy mixture. But I love that opening scene because it says, this movie is not something to take too seriously. Right from before there's ever any dialogue, you've got Queen singing "We Will Rock You," and everyone going on. It's like, okay, this is going to be kind of a silly movie, but it's also really good. So it's one of my favorites for summer movies. So those are probably my top 3 summer movies anyway. What are some of your favorite movies?
So we've talked a little bit about this. My favorite movie of all time is one I have to give a little bit of a caution on because there's pretty poor language throughout the whole film.
What?
But it's Stand By Me.
Oh yeah,
the Rob Reiner's film from the 1980s, I think like 84, 85, something like that. I just love it because it's a great coming of age story. You see the growth of the boys together. You see their friendship. It's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Okay.
Now the boys use naughty language throughout the whole movie, so you gotta cover your ears a couple times and whatnot. But I think it's just a really lovely film too.
Okay.
It's exciting. It was actually, so this is a really fascinating aspect of this. It's based on a short story by Stephen King called The Body. I've never read it. But at the end, Rob Reiner was showing Stephen King before it went to the theaters, the final product, and Stephen King was weeping at the end. He said it was the best film adaptation of any one of his stories ever.
Wow.
And he says to this day it's still the best film adaptation of any one of his stories. And in one of the climactic scene in the book, in the novella really, one of the characters is switched with one of the characters in the movie. So they switch parts to who does one of the really important aspects of it. And Stephen King went, why didn't I think of that? That's brilliant. And so he actually thinks in some ways the movie is almost better in its plot structure than his own story. So I think it's a really brilliant story. It's also hilarious, and so that's one of my favorites.
Okay. I need to see that one again. I've seen it once or twice, but it's been years and years.
Oh, so Jen, you love that book? You love that movie too? You see, I love it. You have to. I mean, the kids use naughty language. You just got to accept that fact.
Okay.
If you get past that fact, the rest of the movie's
Which
hilarious.
one of the things I couldn't. We were talking about Super 8, and
Yeah.
I couldn't get past the naughty language in Super 8, which is kind of a similar kind of feel, I think.
It is. Yeah, I really like Super 8. I don't remember. I think I saw it once. I don't know what I would think about it on the second viewing. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So
It was pretty good. I'll grant you. Yes.
Thank you. Let's see. What is another one of my favorite movies? On a completely different end, I really love the adaptation of Jane Austen's book Sense and Sensibility from 1997, I think it is.
Okay.
It's got Colonel Brandon is acted by Alan Rickman.
I like Alan Rickman. He's in Galaxy Quest.
Yes, exactly. So Alan Rickman does the character of Colonel Brandon. I think the movie adaptation of Sense and Sensibility, that particular one, is brilliant. What's the name of the actress who does Rose from Titanic? What's her name?
Yes, Kate Winslet.
Kate Winslet. Kate Winslet is one of the main characters.
Did it?
And it's a lovely, lovely film. I prefer, this is a very controversial Jane Austen position, I prefer Sense and Sensibility over Pride and Prejudice.
Okay.
I think Colonel Brandon is a much more believable male figure, and I think he's a much more sacrificial figure, and so I love watching Colonel Brandon's character develop throughout, and we discover all these things about his past, about his his essentially sacrificial love for the girl he took care of, and then I don't remember her name all of a sudden, but it's one of my favorite movies. So I love Sense and Sensibility. That particular one. I can't speak on any of the other ones, but what's that? What?
Well, I didn't know, Carl, if you really did not like Kate Winslet, but was that the one with Kate Swindler? That Swindler.
Oh my, that's funny. That's the one with Kate Winslet. I love that one. I think they just do a fantastic job. I saw Little Women this last year with one of our parish staff and her family, and it was released on Christmas Day. I think I saw it on Christmas Day with the parish staff. It was also a really lovely, lovely presentation. So those are probably my two favorite book to movie adaptations when it comes to classical literature.
Yeah, and that whole genre, that does not interest me at all.
Really?
I mean, that's great. I have no.
I have a romantic heart.
That's that's fine, and it's great, and there's different strokes for different folks. But I mean, whenever someone says I don't like Star Wars or whatever, I resonate. It's like, okay, that. You probably feel the same way about Star Wars that I feel about any of those Anne movies. Sense and Sensibility, Pride and Prejudice, War and Peace.
But people don't realize
Little and Women.
People
whatever.
think they are romantic novels for 17-year-old girls. They're not. They are stories of virtue, and all the characters are. Oh, I know. I'm not arguing against you. I'm just saying they're actually very masculine and feminine novels. I'm not saying they're overly, but you can see really true masculine and femininity come throughout them all. Jane Austen is brilliant in that way.
It's all like 19th century Britain, right?
18th century. It would be 1700s mostly.
1700. Well, okay. I don't like those centuries. Those are bad.
Yeah. It was a little dirtier.
I don't know. There's something about that. It just doesn't. Don't feel much of a pull to that.
Yeah, Stand By Me does have the pie eating contest. It's also got a little bit of gross humor a couple times because they're 12-year-old, 13-year-old boys.
Sure.
So I think it is hilarious though. I'm not a big Harry Potter fan actually. I've seen all the movies, but that's because I was forced to watch all of them. And I don't actually have anything against them. It's just I had never watched them growing up for whatever reason. I just missed that particular series. And my seminary friend, when I was 18 or 19 years old, found out that I had never seen any of them, and so we watched one, I think almost every night for 8 or 9 days. So I'm not against them. They seem fine. I remember them being really compelling movies. But I don't really have an opinion. Do you know anything about Harry Potter?
I do. I read the first 4.5 books. And
boom, ba, ba, boom. Yep, exactly. It's so funny. I'm sorry. We'll have to watch that at some point.
Okay, I'm up. I read the first 4.5 books, and for me, I was sitting there reading the 5th book. I'm like, why am I spending so much time reading this book? Because for me, I know this is anathema to Harry Potter fans that love the books. The movies got enough Harry Potter for me that I didn't need to spend. I'm not the fastest reader, so I was like spending all this time reading a book that it was good, but I was just fine seeing the movies, and the movies are good. I mean, I think they're good movies, but I'm not crazy about them, but they're good.
Yeah.
We watched The Hunger Games a few weeks ago.
Which were a lot better than I thought they would be. I thought they would be terrible teen novels sent to movies. And he's like, yeah, no, they're some of my favorite movies. And I was like, okay, Father Ken. I'll give you a chance. They're fantastic.
They're
really good.
And so I've read all the books, too. Going to see The Hunger Games, I saw it in the theater. And I say it is one of the strangest movie experiences I've ever had in my entire life is going to see The Hunger Games, because I knew nothing about the movie when I went in, and I found myself, I'm like, I don't know who to root for. I don't want the heroine to win. but I don't want her to lose because if she wins, she has to kill people, kill kids. And I'm like, I don't like that. And so it was this really strange moral dilemma that I found myself in is like, I don't know how this is going to end in a way that I am going to be satisfied with the ending because I don't want to go, hooray, she wins.
Yeah.
And then I didn't realize it was a trilogy at the time. I thought it was a standalone book. So then I found I was thinking about it a lot. So then I went back and read. I read the book, and then I read the second, and I read the third, and I think they're excellent books, and I think the movies are excellent also. And so they're 6 of one, half a dozen the other, I think, and they're pretty quick reads. So I'd recommend both books and movies on those.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I haven't read any of them yet, but I remember my high school teacher, who was almost like a good friend of mine, and she really loved the first one. So,
Die Hard and Lethal Weapon are some favorite series.
wow, Lord of the Rings is brilliant. The books are better, of course, but Lord of the Rings are brilliant. They're good adaptations. They miss some of the points, so they turn it too much into a war movie at times, and they forget the greater metaphysical structure that J.R.R. Tolkien is going for. So this is one reason Carolina is asking about why some people forbid Harry Potter. Some Christians do. She asks about that, and I'm not an expert on this topic in any way. But one of the things
that's a question for me.
Oh,
It's not
you're
a
right.
question for you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just looked briefly.
Carry on. I'm just
I will
kidding.
stop.
No, carry on. No, it's your birthday. Go ahead. It's like, man, I've really offended him.
I think they try some Christians. Now, again, I'm not an expert on this topic in any way, but Lord of the Rings has a Christian metaphysical structure. It is written. It's not like Chronicles of Narnia, which is trying to be an allegory, but its whole world is meant to explore. It's meant to explore Christian themes. It's meant to explore really true Christian Catholic ideals. It's sacramental in many areas. And I think some people want to see the same thing in Harry Potter. But Harry Potter is written from essentially an atheistic perspective.
Okay.
I think the J.R.R. Tolkien might be Christian, but I'm not sure.
J.R.R. Tolkien is Christian, but I don't know about J.K. Rowling.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, J.K. Rowling, my bad. Thank you. Stop putting your initials at the first time. I think that some people try to read Harry Potter looking for that same metaphysical structure, and I just don't think it's there. And so then they try to interpret it, and it just doesn't work. And so people then try to make it into a like pro witchcraft book, which I'm not exactly sure they are.
Right.
So I think that's I think that's one of the main problems, quote unquote, with them. You can't read them in the same way that you would read Lord of the Rings.
Right. Well, and as I understand it, she wrote at least the first one she was just writing a little book for her kid, I think, if I recall, or her kids. It's just here's a little book for you, and then it became this smashing success, obviously. But.
Right. I have a good friend of mine who's really devout Christian. She said the first book is just a lovely book. She said it's a great kid story. She read it, I think, to her kids. She loved it, and as books went on, she didn't like them as much. She thought they got a little too dark. So that's her criticism of them. But I would trust her opinion. She's expert, and she has a degree in English, bachelor's degree in English, and is a very faithful Catholic. So I would trust her opinion on those books.
Right.
And again, this is a quality opinion. It's not a moral opinion. Just.
But you have the same opinion, I think, of the Lord of the Rings movies that some of the good Harry Potter fans have about the movies versus the books. And generally, I would say yes, the books are better. For the most part, especially if you really like them. I just found both, for me personally, they just took both of those series just took too long to read.
Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, and the movies gave me everything that I was looking for in those books. In a much shorter period of time.
Well, Lord of the Rings is an epic novel, and it's written like the great epics. So it's got little side stories here and there. It's got the characters going and going into this world. And one of my favorite characters is Tom Bombadil in the first book, and I've talked about this before. But he's entirely cut out of the 3 movies, because if you read Tom Bombadil as part of the essential plot of the movie, you think, what the heck is he doing here? This is useless. This is a random character that doesn't really do anything. But if you read it as an epic novel, he goes to build the world. And that's one of the things people don't have patience with Lord of the Rings. J.R. Tolkien slowly builds the world throughout it all, and you just have to be patient for that all. I have a good friend of mine who I went to seminary with, who said that he couldn't get through the first Fellowship of the Ring because it talked about trees too much.
Well, it might have been me. I mean, yes, it's your birthday, so I won't give my impersonation of the J.R. Tolkien books, but I kind of have that sentiment too. That's one of the things, like, for me, like, that's one of the things I love about Star Wars as well, is the world that it creates. And one of the reasons that I like one of the lesser liked Star Wars movies, which is Episode 2.
Mm-hmm. And I despise Episode 2.
Yeah. But I love that movie because of it shows the Republic in such a way that you had never seen before. So I really like that. That's really nerdy, I know, but like I like that diner scene. I think that's really cool. Just kind of gives what's like a just normal life like in this other planet. It gives the bar scene is really cool. I like the building of the clones. I like all that world building, which is why I kind of lean towards that one a little bit more than the third one, because there's less of the world that you get to see. And
right, and I'm really more of a character person.
Ah, right, okay.
So that's why I like the third one a lot better than the second one.
Right, because George Lucas told, I mean, and I will grant that it's better storytelling in the third one. I will grant that totally. And George Lucas, I think, finally listened because he had a bunch of other stuff and he just trimmed, okay, what's the essential, what's the story, and just focused in on Anakin. Because there was this whole side plot about building of the rebellion or whatever. He said, and those are all filmed, but those were all cut out so they could really hone in on the character arc of the main characters.
Right. I remember because I think one of those cutout scenes is Padme is involved in the rebellion.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Not getting too nerdy. But Carly, yeah, you were absolutely right. The Giver is a lovely, lovely book. I read it when I was in 5th grade. I read it.
And I read it too, and my mom loves it.
3 or 4 times. It had a huge impact on me as a kid. It's for that age group, it is the first like dystopian novel that really deals with real themes that are entrancing and yet still that a 5th and 6th grader can really understand. It's a really lovely book for that. I think they made a movie of it, and I remember seeing it, but it was so unmemorable. I hardly remember the movie.
My mom should be sending me a text shortly. Hi, Mom, saying The Giver was the worst. I think she hated that movie because she loves the book so much, and the movie was so awful. Is what I said. So let me go over to my cam here. I know it's your birthday, but I still want to say hi to my
this
folks here.
This has been a lot of fun, actually.
Hi there. Hi, Mom. I think it's The Giver that you don't like, that you love the book, but you didn't like the movie at all. I'm expecting a text from you shortly. And then, hello there, Rachel. Hello there, Rosalie. And hello there, Laura. I hope you're having a great day. See, my Mr. Potato Heads are still back there. I've got Han Solo and Chewbacca up there that you gave me for Christmas last year, I think. So they're sitting up there. So hope you're having a good day, and also hello to the Dryling girls. Hope you're having a good day, and maybe you're helping out with those morning announcements again. I have seen a morning announcement. So, all right. So there we go.
Marilyn O'Connor. Yes, terrible movie. You're right. I remember seeing it. I don't remember anything about the movie. That's how unmemorable it was, and I was so excited because when I was in 5th grade, that book meant so much to me.
Yep. Okay, so anything else on movies? We've been talking about movies for a while here, but
this is fun. There's something that we're talking about. Book to film adaptations. Why do they fail? I have a theory, but I'd like to hear yours if you have a thought. Why do they fail?
Why do they fail?
And why do they succeed when they do succeed? Isn't that a fascinating question? I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. So the Hunger Games succeeds.
Yes, it does.
It's from what I'm hearing and from what I read online. I've never read the book, so I can't say that. What's the difference between the Hunger Games and The Giver, or?
So I've never seen The Giver.
Or Ender's Game. Did you ever read or watch?
I did. Yes.
Ender's Game is mediocre.
Yeah, it is. It's a different genre for one, and it's a different way of telling stories. My favorite book, possibly of all time, and I also say this with an asterisk. It's a quite nerdy book, and there's some language stuff there too, and some things that are questionable there. But Ready Player One is my favorite book, probably of all time. And the premise of Ready Player One is it's kind of like it's like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory meets The Matrix or something. I think that's what they talk about, because this person who has built this kind of web engine, it's kind of like, imagine like World of Warcraft and Amazon and Facebook and all of those kind of become this whole thing that becomes completely a virtual reality and everything. He's got this whole world called the Oasis. Anyway, at the beginning of the book, it talks about how he died, and then he put a contest into his game. And there's 3 doors that are unlocked by 3 keys. You have to find these 3 keys that unlock these 3 doors. And you have to beat these challenges or whatever to go through these things. It's a really fascinating, fun book. It's the only book I've read one of the few books I've read multiple times. I've read the Narnia books multiple times and the Hunger Games multiple times. Ready Player One is one of those. Because there's just so many interesting things in there. But there was a movie version, and the movie version, which I went to see with my sister, and we were so excited, we went to it like a matinee during the week. It was so exciting. The movie was okay, and the person that wrote the book, whatever his name was involved in the process of making the movie, and Steven Spielberg made the movie.
So it should be a good movie.
It should be a good movie. But I think that some of the things that you would think as you're reading a book would translate really good to a movie actually don't. And I don't know exactly why that is. And I imagine that the author of, in my head, as I'm imagining this conversation, I imagine that there were some of those sacred cows to the author that he said, no, this is going to be great in a movie. We have to put this in the movie. And I can just see Steven Spielberg, this really professional, excellent movie maker, saying, I know you think it'll work, but trust me, it's not going to work. We need to do it this way. And so the movie is okay, but it's not as rich as the book. I mean, part of it is, I think, just the runtime of a movie you have to really narrow things down and take out all of the excess. I think that's part of it. And then sometimes a movie tries to do different things, and then they don't succeed in those transfers. Like the Chronicles of Narnia, the movies, or the 3 ones, Mom would say there's only 1.5 probably, because again, she will tell you, I'll expect her text shortly, don't ever watch The Voyage of the Dawn Treader.
It's terrible. It's terrible. No, the first one's a great movie. I watched it when I was like 13 or 14.
Well, but the problem with the first one is it's good, but it's so faithful to the text that there were no surprises.
That's a good point.
That I was like, okay, I know what's going to happen. And there was nothing really that said, oh, that's interesting twist. There were no twists. It was, here is the book in movie form, with the battle maybe being a little bit longer to make it more Lord of the Ringsy. But so that's the thing, is that balance of making it different enough from the book that there are interesting things for you to consider.
Right. Well, I think those movies also suffer from the fact that those books are children's books.
Sure.
And then adults are watching them with the eyes of adults, but watching them with the souls of children. In the same way, like, sometimes the Star Wars prequels suffer.
Yeah.
Because the Star Wars prequels movies are, in a similar way to how the original trilogy are movies for 13, 14 years old.
Or 8-year-olds.
Yeah, exactly. And then they watch them with, 35-year-old minds and think, hey, this is, there's no depth to this. But the depth grew over time as they grew up in a certain way, if that makes sense.
Right. I was just having a conversation with my nephews who were children when the first ones come out, and he says, man, I love episode 1. I was
I have to say, yeah, that was the one that I saw in the theaters. I thought it was so cool. Now I would go back and I can't stand Jar Jar, but...
Good old Jar Jar. Yeah. But another thing, that the reason the Hunger Games works is because those books are told in first person, and they're very compelling as a first person novel, first person present even. But the movies, obviously, you can't tell a movie from a first person angle, but the world gets bigger then, because you can tell stories like President Snow that can't be in the book because it's all from the.
That's fascinating. I like that idea.
Yeah. So that really works because all these added scenes really add depth to the story, for me anyway, and that world building.
So I have a theory that's nerdy. And this is why... this is if you want to... Sorry. Are we going on too long? Maybe. But here's my theory for if you want to transfer a book to a movie, here's my thought. A movie can change anything about the accidents of a book as long as it understands the substance of the book. That's a very nerdy distinction. But here's what I'm thinking. Sometimes movies are so set on telling the story that the book is trying to tell that it forgets the meaning of the story that the book is trying to convey.
Sure, right. Uh-huh.
And so I think The Giver is a good example of that. I think they did actually change the plot. So I think your mom said they changed the plot. I honestly don't remember. But I remember The Giver had this, it was soaked with meaning for a 5th, 6th grade mind. But when they went to go put it on the screen, they were just telling the story. And so they had all the accidents, they had all the, what I'm doing a philosophical distinction. The accidents are like the things that change about us that are not essential to who we are. So my hair is the accidents of my substance.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that my hair is blonde and receding is the accidents. But that's not essential to who I am.
Right. Which is good.
Yeah.
I'm glad it's not essential.
Exactly. So if the movie director really understands the soul of the book, the substance of the book, then he can apply that and make it into a movie.
Sure.
But if he's just trying to tell the same story, it's never going to work because he's just applying the accents without the substance.
Oh, that's good. That's a very good theory. I like that a lot. It's really good.
And that's why in Hunger Games, they change several things you said. I mean, it's all the same story, but they add a little character here, they add a little background here.
Sure.
They change some of the accidents to make it a better movie. Right. And they expand it, but they keep the same substance.
Right.
That's why the Body became a great Stand By Me movie. The movie Stand By Me, because they told the substance of the story while changing the accents just enough to where it would work as a movie. That's good. That's a good. I like that. Very philosophical. Look at you go. What can I say?
All right, so we talked about movies really all day long today, and we basically ran out of time. But it's his birthday, so that's what we want to talk about. So hopefully you've enjoyed this kind of discussion, and there's
we've kept people the whole time. So.
That's good. So hopefully this has been at least somewhat interesting for you. There was some other thing that was brought up, and I don't know if we have time to dive into it completely, but someone had mentioned, have you ever read The Case for Christ? Is that the book you were going to talk about?
No, that's not the same book.
Oh, okay.
That was The Case for Jesus.
I
see a distinction. Yeah.
Yes.
I've never heard that one, no.
I think it was A Case for Christ, but maybe it was A Case for Jesus. Let's see here.
Is there? It's not.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, The Case of Christ. We're seeing the movie or read the book, Case of Christ.
Never heard of it.
I don't know it, yeah. We could go on about movies probably all day long, but we are at 10:52 already.
This has been a fun episode. I've enjoyed it.
Good.
So.
Well, good. Well, we wanted to provide for your birthday, so we could also talk about favorite Pixar, but we could save that for another day.
That's
but
true.
I could probably rate my top 3 Pixar movies as well. So yeah, because I can't really. It's hard for me just to say, my favorite movie because I like them for different contexts and stuff. So
some movies you're in the mood for one, but you're totally not in the mood for another.
Someone else mentioned Shawshank Redemption, but yes, as far as if the Shawshank Redemption comes on, or the what's that the Harrison Ford one where he's trying to escape a crime they didn't commit, whatever that one is, when those come on television,
I remember that one.
If I turn on I'm doomed because I'm going to end up watching the whole thing. So
I thought you were going to talk about the President movie where Harrison Ford is the president.
Air Force One.
Air Force One.
Yeah, not that one. It's what is that one? Not the refugee. Someone's going to type it in there for me here.
Favorite music, another episode.
That could be that. We have all kinds of things. The Fugitive. Thank you very much.
Okay,
yes,
that's a John Grisham book.
Is it really? Okay.
I think. Oh, maybe not. I may be wrong.
Oh, and we're also supposed to check the ports. There's something. Something on
Is
the
it on
chair
fire? I'm just joking.
Check your ports because there are some bad things there. So,
thank you all so much. We should sign off now. This has been a fun day.
All right, very good.
Thank you all so much for all the birthday wishes. I appreciate it. All please pray for me. That's the most important part.
All right, very good. Well, thanks so much for tuning in.
God bless.
Let's go to so we can get a copyright violation. Let's switch this up a little bit.
To what?
And I'm going to sing happy birthday to you. And we're going to put you on the ash cam because you have not been on the ash cam on your birthday the whole day, the whole time. So we haven't wished you happy birthday, so I invite you to sing along if you know the tune. Happy birthday to you.
Okay,
happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Father Ashmore. Happy birthday to you.
Thank
All
you
right.
all so much. God bless you all.
Thank you. Have a beautiful day. We'll see you.